Hi, hello, it's Nikki and welcome to my messy bookshelf. Today I'm here to share my October wrap-up and what I am reading going forward into the month of November, or what I'm starting with at least, maybe, possibly. But I will just get started. It was a fantastic reading month for me in October. I wish that I had finished as strong as I started, but I cannot complain because I read a lot of great things and many of the things that were in my pile of possibilities. So not everything, because I don't think I will ever get to everything in that giant stack. But you know, we like to be overly ambitious in the beginning of the month. But the first thing I read in October for Victober was The Pickwick Papers by Charles Dickens. I have mentioned it multiple times now, and it is no surprise that I adored this book. This book was fantastic. Possibly my favorite book I've read this year because it was just so funny. And, you know, it's Charles Dickens, so you know that he's going to have lots of great turns of phrase, but also it was funny. And it was delightful, and I cannot say enough good things about this, and I am actually looking forward to returning to this one again. And I will not say anything else because I keep talking about this book. The next thing I read was The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, and this is one that I am genuinely shocked that I hadn't read before because it is tiny, and it takes place near where I grew up, and it's a spooky read. Shorter than I expected it to be. I did enjoy it, but I thought there was going to be more to it. So maybe just a tad disappointed in the fact that it wasn't more. So I will say no more. I liked it, and it was fun to read for October, and I wish that there was more to it, and we will leave it there. The next thing that I read was also for Victober, and this was The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and this is one that I had started and not finished in the past, so I'm very, very happy that I finally got through it. It was wonderful, and I'm looking forward to reading more Oscar Wilde now, so this is the first thing that I've ever read by him, and I meant to read a play, but I did not get to it, but this was wonderful. I think we all know what this book is about. It is about a young man who has a painting, and he does not want to age, and so this picture of him ages instead, and shows all of the emotions and trauma that he's been through in his life, and I will say no more. So it was great. And then the next thing I read was not this whole thing, but one of the books in here, or the novella in here, which was A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This was for another Victober prompt, and I seem to have misplaced my little reading journal that is usually sitting right here, so I cannot say exactly what prompt it was. I believe it was to read a Victorian novel that religion was a big component of the story, and Mormonism was a big component of this one, and I really enjoyed the reread of this. I read this many years ago, and I was very off-put by the middle of the book, and this time around I was expecting it, so I enjoyed it so much more this time around, and I loved it. And I need to read more, I think, because I'm such an Agatha Christie fan, and I am a Hercule Poirot stan, essentially. I am a huge fan of Agatha Christie and her detective Hercule Poirot, so I think that that is what causes me to read less Sherlock Holmes books than I would otherwise have done, because I love mysteries. But now I'm rambling. So the next thing I read was one that has been recommended to me a lot, and that is Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. And I really enjoyed it. It was very spooky and melancholy, and my only complaint was that I wish that there was more of the spooky circus and less of the feelings of the main characters, and I guess that's the point of the book. But I love circus novels, so I was kind of hoping that there would be more of that in there. But yes, it follows two teenage boys who are best friends and encounter a spooky circus in their town, and they have to save themselves and their town from this circus. So, enjoyed this one. And then another one that I really loved was The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins, and I was thrilled at how much I enjoyed this book. It was lovely. It was a great mystery. I loved the characters. I enjoyed the way that the book was put together. I think this was for the prompt, I don't have my notebook in front of me, that plays with form, a Victorian novel that plays with form in some way, and this one definitely does, though I did not know that when I went into it, so I got 2 for 1. I read one by Wilkie Collins, which I think was a prompt, and also a Victorian novel that plays with form, and I loved it. And now I'm looking forward to exploring more, because I read The Woman in White and enjoyed it a few years ago, but I enjoyed this one so much more. I think The Woman in White was one that I liked it, but I didn't understand why everyone else seemed to love it as much as they did, and this one I just loved it. So it was great. And then the last thing that I finished was A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher, and this one was just the right level of spooky. So this was obviously not for Victober, but I loved it. It was the perfect amount of spooky, and I need more books like this in my life, and I have enjoyed everything that I've read by T. Kingfisher so far. But that is everything that I finished in October. I did go into another book, and that was a nonfiction called The Witch of Pongo, and this is by Scott O. Moore. And this one is about a real-life woman in the 1690s, I think it was, or the early 1700s. I think it's the 1690s. And she was tried as a witch here in Virginia, in kind of near the area that I live. And I thought it was fascinating because she not only was tried as a witch, but she survived the brutal things that they did to women suspected of being witches back then. So I thought it would be fascinating, and I did start to read it, but the last week of October, we have field trips at school, we have, candy giving and all those kinds of things, so we were quite busy, and I was also getting ahead of myself with nonfiction November, so I did not finish it, but it is carrying over into nonfiction November, which works. And then I had forgotten that I purchased this book, Ghost by Edith Wharton, and this is a collection of short ghost stories by Edith Wharton, and I think I have read one of them before, but I have not read the other ones, and I may save this for Christmas time because I like reading Victorian ghost stories at Christmas time, which is, I think, what you were supposed to do. And then I think that is it, what I have here. I am struggling to get started with nonfiction November because I am enjoying this one, but I gave myself so many excellent choices for nonfiction November that I've dipped into several of them, and I can't decide what I want to read, so I'm being very indecisive, and I need to get myself together. But that is my wrap up for October and the beginning of November, and I thank you so much if you've made it to the end of this video. Please share what you are reading this month or what you enjoyed last month, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.